You have, it looks like you took a shave, but you have still hair.
Yeah, I took a shave on Friday, so it's Sunday now. It grows fast.
I see. But you're not growing a beard.
No, I don't want no beard.
Srila Prabhupada, I have quotes where he had an interview with some devotees from Hawaii, and Srila Prabhupada said, "Who are you?" And they said, "We're your disciples." He said, "No, you're not my disciples." He said, "Yes, we are, Srila Prabhupada." He said, "Anyone who has a beard is not my disciple," he said. And they said, "Oh, but we didn't know." He says, "Well, now you know," he said. "Anyone who has a beard is not my disciple." I have these quotes.
So we're live, Ishan Prabhu. You can begin now.
Okay. Thank you for being here.
Try.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Yadesha Tarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, today we're giving this fourth class and thanking you so much, those who are willing to hear this foolish person speak, that the name of this class is Krishna Says. This is Krishna speaking. Krishna says, make this experiment. Why Krishna says make experiment? He doesn't want us to be just following. He wants us to get realization. And he proposes an experiment how we can know that Krishna consciousness is a reality. So, in our previous class, number 2, and number 10, and number 11, we discussed the process, what's called subjective instruction. Subjective instruction. In his purport, Srila Prabhupada, in his purport to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, text 47, Adi Lila, chapter 1. As Srila Prabhupada explains, there's two kinds of instruction. In Krishna consciousness, two kinds. One kind of instruction is objective. The other kind of instruction, it's subjective. Subjective instruction. So we're going to talk. Objective instruction means conceptual, philosophical, practical. A subjective instruction, what is that? It's the process of learning under the guidance of somebody, learning how to feel devotion, how to feel. It's by associating with a person who can share his devotional feeling with us. It's subjective. That's very amazing. So, by associating very close, very intimate with someone who has love for Krishna in his heart, if we're submission, so if we're sufficiently submissive in our demeanor, really I want to understand. I want to receive. If we're sufficient, we'll begin to feel his love for Krishna. This is amazing. And this is the process. It's a process of transcendental empathy. We're empathizing. We're feeling what someone else is feeling. So now we begin to feel, yes, this is the science actually of Krishna consciousness. Actually, there's no other way to obtain this feeling. That's amazing. Every morning we sing, Shri Guru Charana Padma, and then we sing, Prema Bhakti Ahoite, Avidya Vinashayate. So what are we singing? The lotus feet of our spiritual master. This is the only way by which we can acquire this feeling of love of Krishna. How do we do it? Prema Bhakti Yaha. From him, this mellow of love of Krishna, it emanates. And if we can catch it, and it fills our heart, this love of Krishna, it will eliminate all our material desire. Avidya vinashayate. Our ignorance will be destroyed. So this is the essence of the science of Krishna consciousness. We have been given varieties of practical instruction, objective instruction, attend Mongol Artik, chant 16 rounds, attend Srimad Bhagavatam class, only take Krishna Prasadam, maintain the four regulative principles, distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. So many practical, objective instructions. But every morning, we recite that the only way to actually acquire this feeling, love for Krishna, we have to catch it from someone who has it. In his purport to Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 5th chapter, 25th verse, Srila Prabhupada talks of this catching process. Catching. How do we catch? He says, he compares it to catching a disease. He says, pure devotion is as much infectious, but in a good sense, as catching an infectious disease. It's the first line in that purport. So, where are we? So, he says, we have to catch it. We have to he used this word imbibe. We have to imbibe the taste. And in the same purport, this is the gift only Krishna's pure devotee can share with us through this process of subjective instruction. Only a pure devotee can give because only a pure devotee has it. So, otherwise, saying you come to me, or like I receive online and on my phone, and you buy this and you buy that, but they can't deliver. They have no intention to deliver. It's called a scam. Scam. So we have to engage in this process with someone who he has the product. He can share with us. So why do we speak of this Krishna consciousness as a science. Srila Prabhupada insists it's a science. What do we mean by the word science? So science means I have a theory, or somebody else has, or a hypothesis, but we don't accept it blindly. In the scientific world, someone has a new theory, they don't accept it blindly. They have to make an experiment. They make an experiment to see for ourselves if the hypothesis stands up when we test it. We don't accept it simply because it sounds nice, and we test. For example, there's a hypothesis uh, that when hydrogen and oxygen are combined together, you can make water. This we test it in the laboratory. We make an experiment, and if the experiment is successful, then we accept the theory. So this is scientific. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna consciousness is scientific. It's a science. how, how do we know it's real? That's how Krishna explains the science in the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, text 34. Krishna describes the experiment that we have to make. Krishna describes this experiment. Why? Because he wants us to test it so we can acquire what? Conviction that this is a real thing. It's not just, what do they call that? Uh, what do they call Hare Krishna? No, Disneyland. It's not a make believe. It's real. So he describes the experiment because he wants us to become faithfully conversant, not only conversant, but to acquire faith that this is actually the process by which you and me, we can go back home, back to Godhead. So Krishna says, Tad vidhi pranipasnena paraprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Translation: just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Approach. Inquire from him how? Submissively, and render service unto him, the self-realized soul, Srila Prabhupada. He can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So this is Krishna's description of the scientific process by which we can acquire, by which we can experience genuine realization. Krishna's what is his first principle is we have to approach a spiritual master. Pranipatena. Pranipatena means approach. But what kind of spiritual master should we approach? Krishna says, Janinas Tattva Darshanaha. The first quality by Krishna, stated by Krishna, is Janina. He must be self-realized. And what is the extent of his realization? Tattva Darshanaha. He has seen the truth. He has seen Krishna. Not only he has seen Krishna, but he's in constant meditation, seeing Krishna in his heart. At every moment, in his purport to Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, Srila Prabhupada describes this seeing process. Quote, unless one is situated by the right person, unless one is initiated by the right person who always carries within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot acquire the power to carry the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of one's own heart. That's Srila Prabhupada telling us. You got to have a realized spiritual master. Therefore, the bona fide spiritual master, he's Janina, self-realized, and Tattva Darshana. He's always seeing Krishna within his heart. So Krishna says, Pranipatena, approach. He doesn't just say, he says approach him. He doesn't just say, oh, obtain a spiritual master or get a spiritual master. No, Krishna says we should approach our spiritual master. And what kind of spiritual master we should we should approach a spiritual master who has these qualities. He's self-realized, and he's always in intimate association with Krishna. Okay? This is the spiritual master that Krishna says we should approach. And what is the nature of our spiritual master's intimate association with Krishna? This is described by Srila Prabhupada in his purport to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, first chapter, text 47. Srila Prabhupada writes, he's describing the spiritual master we should approach. He is he is the liberated person, and he's fully absorbed. How? He's fully absorbed in meditation, in devotional service, unquote. So what's the nature of his meditation? This is described by who? By Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma in his Brahma Samhita 5th chapter, text number 38, he writes, Premanjana Shurita Bhakti Velochanena. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Velochanena. He is absorbed in feelings of love of Krishna. His eyes, the person we should approach, his eyes, Velochanena. His eyes, they're tinged, Churita, tinged. How with a salve of love. Anjana, Premanjana, Anjana, Premanjana, Prema Bhakti, with loving devotion. This is the person we should approach. He's always seeing the eternal form of Govinda, Krishna, within his heart, because his eyes are anointed with this salve of love. So Lord Krishna says, Pranipatena, just approach this kind of self-realized spiritual master who is always seeing Krishna in this way. But how do we approach him? Krishna says, Paraprashnena. Paraprashnena means, it's in our book, it's Bhagavad Gita, by submissive inquiry. Submissive inquiry. Krishna says we should approach the spiritual master and inquire from him very submissively. Inquire in his purport to this text. Srila Prabhupada writes that inquiry, it's not just inquiry, not just asking question. Inquiry, quote, inquiry and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. And also, in this same purport, Srila Prabhupada makes the point. What? Absurd inquiry. People have all kinds of questions. Absurd inquiry, Srila Prabhupada writes, are condemned. We have to ask the real question. What is the right inquiry? The real question we should ask that self-realized spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada explains in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, chapter 12. Generally, Srila Prabhupada writes, generally, in devotional service, one should accept the following principles. The first one, take shelter of bona fide spiritual master. Number two, necessary to be initiated by the spiritual master. Number three, you render service to the spiritual master. Number four, this is Srila Prabhupada says, this is a general principle. Inquire, quote, to inquire and learn love from the spiritual master, unquote. This is Srila Prabhupada says, a general principle that one should follow. In devotional service, one should accept the following principles. Number four, inquire and learn love from the spiritual master, word for word in our book. In number four, Srila Prabhupada is giving us the answer to our question. What is the right way to inquire? What is the real inquiry? The real question we should ask a self-realized spiritual master. For it's necessary to inquire and learn love from the spiritual master. That is the real inquiry of the sincere student who's approaching bona fide spiritual master, to inquire and learn love from the spiritual master. He's not describing the symptoms of love. He's teaching the feeling of love. That's called subjective instruction. But Krishna tells us how to inquire. He says with what kind of mood we should inquire. Krishna says by submissive inquiry. In our Guru Puja prayer, we sing Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoite, Prema Bhakti Yaha Hoite, Avidya Vinashayate. This love of Krishna, Prema, it emanates from our spiritual master. And if we can be submissive, we can imbibe this emanation. We can feel what he's feeling. And as we do, avidya vinashayate, our ignorance is destroyed. Avidya vina. This is submission. This is what means submissive inquiry, that we are capable, that we're submissive enough to feel what Srila Prabhupada is feeling. Maybe you don't feel, maybe I don't feel totally, but to the degree that we're submissive, we will feel his Krishna consciousness. So he doesn't only open our heart so we can imbibe the taste of devotion. Narottam takes it a step further. Narottam Das Thakur, in our prayer, Sri Guru Charana Padma, he takes it, he says, at the end of the prayer, he says, O Master, please be merciful unto me. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. So Narottam is praying to his spiritual master, please allow me to understand. He wants to understand his guru's devotion because by imbibing the taste of pure devotion, this is the shade. That devotion, when we have that quality, that light in our heart, that shade will protect us from the burning rays of the illusory energy of Krishna. And we want that shade, that protection. So he's saying from him this love emanates if we can catch it. Our ignorance is destroyed, but we're begging our spiritual master, please give me the shade of it. Please give me that. This only one quality that can protect me from Maya. It's love of Krishna. You give me, please, this shade of your lotus feet. And similarly, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he exemplifies this mood of submission in his prayer Guru Dev, because Krishna has told us in this 434, inquire from him submissively. We're talking about the submissive mood. Please give me the shade. Now, that's Narottam Das. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has his prayer Guru Dev, Sakale Samana Korite Shakti Deho Nata Chata Chata. Eh? What is the translation? He's approaching his spiritual master with this prayer. I offer you all respect, all respect. In the Srila Prabhupada says in his Vyas Puja poem, with all address, and I approach you with all the humility at my command. Eh? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I'm offering you all respect, for thus I may acquire the energy by which I can know you, by which I can understand your heart. In this way, I'll be able to chant the holy names with some ecstatic feeling. And in this way, my offenses will be finished. This is the same prema bhakti. From him, ecstatic prema emanates, and by him, ignorance is destroyed. That's how Thakur Narottam does. Now Bhakti Vinod Thakur is saying, if I can catch this taste from you, what you're feeling in your heart, I'll be able to chant, and my offenses will be finished. My ignorance, same idea, 100%. This is identical understanding of now. Now we have talked about the inquiry. What is this love of Krishna? And this is inquiry. And we have talked about submission. Please enable me to understand your heart so I can understand love of Krishna. Please give me the shade of your lotus feet. Please let me understand your heart. This is submission, this mood. Huh? But Krishna has one more ingredient: inquiry, submission, and service. So in his prayer, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his prayer Gurudev, he prays to his spiritual master, if I can understand your heart. He's praying like that. If I can only then I'll be able to chant the holy name with devotional feeling. This kind of chanting, this is the meaning of following in the footsteps of our spiritual master. We're following his mood. This is the meaning We can follow in his footsteps. He's not walking on this planet that we can see right now. Still, we want to follow in his footsteps. Following in his footsteps, Anuga, Prabhupada Anuga, following the feeling that he's teaching with us. So this is this. Then I'll be able to chant. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says with devotional feeling. This kind of chanting is the meaning of following in the footsteps, and this is the meaning of service when we use it in the context of inquiry, submission, and service. Inquiry, we're inquiring what is this love. Submission means we're able to feel that love because we're sufficiently, and service means now with this feeling in our heart, we're engaging in devotional activity, inquiry, submission, and service. So, where this is therefore our daily prayer is from him, our spiritual master. This taste of love of Krishna emanates, and if we can imbibe that taste and begin to engage in devotional activity with that taste in my heart, this is the understanding of the word service in the context of inquiry, submission, and service. Now, in his book, Krishna Das Kaviraj, he's the emblem of this phrase, this expression. He's the emblem of expressing this process, the expression of this, of inquiry, submission, and service. There's 62 chapters in this book, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. 62 chapters. And at the end of every chapter, Krishna Das Kaviraj, great poet, king of poets, Raj, king. Kavi means poet. He's the Kavi, king of poets. Krishna Das Kaviraj writes at the end of every one of these 62 chapters, he has two spiritual masters. I'm not sure who's initiating, but he's taking from both of them this kind of instruction, subjective. He writes, Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha. Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asha Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. Huh? Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, I narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in what mood? Following in their footsteps. Praying at the lotus feet. Praying at the lotus feet means of Rupa and Raghunath means that Krishna Das is looking to his spiritual master, Rupa, Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, for acquiring this mood of love of Lord Chaitanya, love of Krishna. This is inquiry, praying at the lotus feet of Rupa and Raghunath. Then he prays, always desiring their mercy. One of the words used by Krishna Das in this verse is Asha. Yeah, Pade Yara Asha. He said, one of the words in the, which Srila Prabhupada translates this word as what? Expectation. We expect something is going to happen. There's an expectation. Krishna Das not only inquires from his spiritual master for the ability to understand love of Krishna. What is this love of Krishna? But he very strongly desires to receive understanding. He uses the word asha. It means he's saying he has a very positive expectation that he's going to receive this mercy. He feels that my spiritual master wants to share this with me, this love, and if I only ask him in a nice way, I have this positive expectation that he's going to share with me like that. Asha in this context means he has positive expectation to receive their mercy. Therefore, Krishna Das right, I'm always desiring their mercy, and I approach my spiritual master with my heart open in a mood of asha, in a mood of positive expectation that they will share this love of Chaitanya with me, this mood of desire to imbibe the taste of their devotion, decorated with the confidence of positive expectation that our spiritual master is pleased to share with us in this way. This is the mood of positive submission. This is submission. Approach him. What is this feeling of love? And I know you want to share this with me. Please give it to me. So, but then, so we, and Krishna does, there's inquiry and there's submission. But where's the service, the part of the formula, Krishna's formula, that Krishna does praise in this verse, same verse, Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Das. Quote, the Kahe means describe. Kahe means describe. He says, I describe the activities of Lord Chaitanya. He's saying, uh, in what mood does Krishna Das engage in this service of describing? Srila Prabhupada says, I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. How? Following in their footsteps. Therefore, let's scrutinize a little bit. Not only is Krishna Das inquiring, please let me understand your devotional feeling, and not only is he submissively desiring to receive the ability to understand their feeling with a mood of positive expectation, but now he's engaging in describing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, following in their footsteps. This following in their footsteps means that Krishna Das is engaging in devotional service with the feeling of love of Lord Chaitanya as he has imbibed that very taste at the lotus feet of his spiritual masters. This is the complete formula of inquiry, submission, and service at the lotus feet of our spiritual master. We're engaging in Krishna consciousness activities, following in their footsteps. This is the meaning of cultivating Krishna consciousness in the association of a pure devotee, quote, and under the guidance of a pure devotee, unquote. Huh? Now, so then one may say, one may have doubts. One may say, but, Krishna Das Kaviraj, he's a pure devotee. He's so advanced in his Krishna consciousness, but how can a neophyte like me engage in my devotional service on such an elevated platform that I'm following Srila Prabhupada's mood within my heart and engaging in my service, whatever it is, with that mood, whatever Srila Prabhupada touches, it's with devotional. If he's holding a pot, he's whatever. Now, how can a person like us, like me, engage in devotional service on such an elevated platform? That Srila Prabhupada answers this very question in his purport. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 5th chapter, 25th verse. Srila Prabhupada writes that this pure devotion, I'm taking sentences from different places in this purport, that this pure devotion, it's infectious in a good sense, like an infectious disease is infection. Then he writes further, the neophyte devotee becomes practically enriched with the transcendental quality of the pure devotee. The neophyte, that's me. And we're a neophyte. We, we become infected. Infection, then Srila Prabhupada says, what is this infection? Quote, infection of the qualities of the pure devotee means what? To imbibe the taste of pure devotion. So he's saying this is for the neophyte. The neophyte. And then what is the result? He's explaining that as a neophyte, our business is to imbibe the taste of devotion that's emanating from his heart. Srila Prabhupada is telling us that he's our spiritual master, and we're accepting him as as our spiritual master, and he's accepting us as his disciple, as his student, and he's expecting us as a neophyte to imbibe the taste of his devotion. And what will be the result? He writes that as we engage in inquiry, submission, and service in this way, he says, the neophyte becomes enriched. This is in that. The neophyte becomes practically enriched with the transcendental qualities of the pure devotee. And what's the result? What does Narottam says? Avidya vinashayate. Our ignorance is destroyed. What does Srila Prabhupada say in this purport? This transcendental taste, quote, this transcendental taste at once makes all material things distasteful. Same message, whether it's Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Prabhupada are all saying the same thing. You acquire the taste, our ignorance is destroyed. This transcendental taste, quote, at once makes all material things distasteful. In other words, through the cultivation of this practice of inquiry, submission, and service, this is the secret of attainment of the platform of anartha nivritti. Or as Narottam Das Thakur says, avidya vinashayate. Our ignorance is destroyed. This means that everything we do, if we're in association with Srila Prabhupada submissively, everything we do will be in the way he would do it. Whether you're putting a ladle of rice into the pot, whether we're cleaning the pot, whether we're sweeping the floor, whether we're chanting Hare Krishna, whether we're doing arati ceremony, whether we're distributing a book, it's always with the feeling that Srila Prabhupada would do it. Okay? So this is the way, this is the process of inquiry of service. This is the service that that Krishna means. He said when he said, "Just approach the realized spiritual master and render that service unto you." He can impart this serving mood unto you because he sees Krishna, because he has seen the truth. Right? So, therefore, we have to understand that this process of inquiry, submission, and service, it's not a successive progression of events. Now I inquire, and now I'm submissive, now I render service. No, inquiry, submission, and service, they're all going on simultaneously in our heart. That we're asking, what is this love? We're feeling, by association, his love, and we're engaging in our service with this feeling in our heart. It's all there in the same moment. Inquiry, submission, and service. It's all in this. It's the mood in which we live, ideally, when we're not forgetful. But at least let us understand. So they're all going on in the heart, simultaneously in our heart, who's desiring to follow in the footsteps of our spiritual master. This is the purport of the phrase Prabhupada Nuga. This is Prabhupada Nuga. Without this, Prabhupada Nuga, empty slogan. This is Prabhupada Nuga. We approach Srila Prabhupada with a desire to understand his love, with a spirit of receptivity based on our positive anticipation that he's happy and pleased to share his love, to share this love with us, and at the same time, we're engaging in our devotional activities with this devotion taste in our heart. Inquiry, submission, and service. In this way, we can attain the platform of anartha nivritti, wherein we are no longer afflicted by material desire, but the process of inquiry, submission, and service, it doesn't stop there. Srila Prabhupada, you remember, we recall, Srila Prabhupada wrote that the neophyte does this process. This is the process of becoming a real neophyte. This is the process of having a relationship with a real spiritual master. Not that you collect, I have a spiritual master now. Like Srila Prabhupada says, it's not a fashion. It's what is the use of having a spiritual master if we're not learning from him? Objective instructions are good, but we have to do the subjective process. So Srila Prabhupada explains in 1525 of Srimad Bhagavatam, that this process, this is the life and soul of a disciple. From the neophyte platform, onwardly progressing to the highest platform of love of Krishna. We do it at every stage. This is our eternal relationship with our eternal spiritual master. So he said, the neophyte does it. Then he said, so in the first stage, when we get a little taste of what is devotion to Krishna, are the material desires. They depart from us. So this is elimination of there's only one sin in this world. It's desiring our satisfaction apart from desiring Krishna's pleasure. That's the only sin. From that sin, all the other sins come out. So Srila Prabhupada writes that if we get this taste, it makes the other taste unattractive. Srila Prabhupada writes in 1.525, Bhagavatam, quote, after the elimination of all sins or obstacles on the path of devotional service, we get this taste, it eliminates. So after this elimination, this process has happened, one can become attracted, Srila Prabhupada writes. One can have steadiness, Srila Prabhupada writes. One can have perfect taste. One can have transcendental emotion. And at last, one can be situated on the plane of loving service to the Lord. Say it progresses like that. Not that we take it up and we'll be on the topmost platform, but as we cultivate this connection, we become more and more gradually. We advance. Then Srila Prabhupada writes, all these stages develop. How? By the association of pure devotee. We maintain that subjective association with, and that, Srila Prabhupada writes, that is the purport of this stanza. End of purport. That all of these stages, from the lowest stage to the highest stage, this ongoing process of subjective instruction, it's going on. In other words, until we begin to engage in the practice of the scientific process of inquiry, submission, and service, we have hardly come to the neophyte platform, to the neophyte position of heartfelt connection at the lotus feet of our spiritual master. This is the science of Krishna consciousness. In his purport, going back to Bhagavad Gita, this verse, Tad Vidhi Pranipatena, 434. 434. Srila Prabhupada is encouraging us with these words. All right? Quote, inquiry and submission. They constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding. Okay? We're saying, what is this love? And we're submissive enough to receive a taste. So Srila Prabhupada says, inquiry and submission constitute the proper combination for spiritual understanding, unless, Srila Prabhupada continues, unless there is submission and service, these inquiries from the learned spiritual master, it won't be effective. In other words, unless we begin to apply what we're receiving in that way in our own devotional activity, unless the service is there, the inquiry won't be enough. I'll read it. Unless there is submission and service to inquiry from the learned spiritual master will not be effective. Unless there's submission and unless there's receiving the taste and applying the taste, Srila Prabhupada says, just asking the question, what is this? It's not going to work. Then Srila Prabhupada says, actually, Srila Prabhupada explains that he's aware of us. He's the external manifestation of the Lord in our heart. He's aware of us. So he says, one must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master. He's aware whether we're taking and applying like this, and when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, automatically he blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In other words, if we're asking him, what is this love of Krishna, and we get some little taste and we apply it in our service, then Srila Prabhupada is inclined to give us more realization. One must be able to pass the test of the spiritual, and when he sees the genuine desire means we're acting on it. We're acquiring and applying the taste of devotion. He automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. When we're genuine, he's genuine. A bona fide spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada writes, by nature, he's very kind toward his disciple. Srila Prabhupada loves us more than we can understand. He's very kind. So when the student is submissive and always ready to render service, then this reciprocation, Srila Prabhupada writes, of knowledge and inquiry that we were trying to get understand love of Krishna. And knowledge means, that's what knowledge means, love of Krishna. All knowledge without love of Krishna. Real knowledge is love of Krishna. That's what Bhagavad Gita is all about. Raja Vidya, Raja Goyam, the most confidential knowledge, the king of all knowledge, the king of all education. Is this the feeling of devotion? So when he sees that we're genuine, then the reciprocation of this inquiry and the receiving this knowledge, it becomes perfect. Srila Prabhupada says, 434. Srila Prabhupada, he's writing these purports for us, for you and me. He's telling us that this process of inquiry, submission, and service is the, quote, proper combination for acquiring spiritual understanding. And he also tells us that he's aware of us and he's simply waiting for us to begin the cultivation of this process. Srila Prabhupada writes, 434, when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding, unquote. So Srila Prabhupada is not only waiting for us to take up this process, but he's hoping for us. What does he write? Please accept my blessings. Our letter after letter, he's writing to his students. Please accept my blessings. We are Srila Prabhupada's spiritual children. He feels like that. Please, he so much wants us to approach him in a mood of inquiry and submission so that he can share this love of Krishna with us. He wants that. Um, yeah. He doesn't want to simply, oh yes, so he can share. So Srila Prabhupada writes that the spiritual master, quote, is by nature, very kind toward the disciple. So when the student is submissive and ready to apply it, to render it in service in what he's learning, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiry, it becomes perfect. It just starts to work. This is the path of inquiry, submission, and service. This is the bona fide process of Krishna conscious realization, as Srila Prabhupada wants us to have this realization. He doesn't want us to simply engage in our prescribed practice with the hope that one day we'll be blessed with spiritual understanding. We're hoping that if we do everything right, one day we'll have spiritual understanding. But Srila Prabhupada writes in this same purport that in this verse, blind following is condemned. One should not only hear submissively from the spiritual, but one must get a clear understanding in submission and service and inquiry. We want the taste, we imbibe the taste, we drink it in, we engage in it, and we feel the bliss of engaging in Krishna consciousness in that way. He wants us to have that. So he says, yeah, that's when the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiry. So he says this blind following, he doesn't want us to be blind, waiting for something to happen. He wants us to have the experience. Otherwise, we're a blind follower, waiting, doing. I know people who have quit being devotee because they said, quote, it didn't work. Didn't work for me. I did everything I was supposed to do. One man I know, he was dressing the deities every day in major temple, beautiful deity. But he wasn't getting the taste because there's only one way to get it. Srila Prabhupada says, when you're serving the deity, don't think I'm serving the deity. Don't think you're serving. He says, you're helping me to serve, that I am serving the deity and you're my assistant. We are engaging under in his association, under his guidance, under his direction. So, therefore, we should not continue as blind follower as we take up this process, inquiry, submission, and service. Our realization in Krishna consciousness is immediate. It's in the moment, immediate. It's not a reward in the future. It's not something that you earn by getting good points. How many books distributed? How many this? How many that? No, it's immediate as we take up this process of inquiry, submission, and service. Our realization is immediate. We won't be on the topmost platform of devotion, no, but as we practice in this way, our realization will gradually increase. We will be on our way back home, back to Godhead. Krishna, he so much wants us to come home. He wants us. He sends his most confidential servant, Srila Prabhupada, to share his love of Krishna, his love for Krishna, with us. Therefore, Krishna said, Tad vidhi pranipatena paraprashnena sevaya upareksyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Translate. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him. submissively and render the service unto him. This self-realized soul, he can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Krishna is talking to us personally. In this verse, Krishna is describing the scientific process of the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Krishna is saying, don't be a sentimental follower, be a scientist. Test the scientific process that I'm describing to you so that you can become fixed up in this process of Krishna consciousness. Make this experiment. Make this experiment. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me? Okay, there you go. Try. Inquiry, submission, and service. Whimsical inquiries are condemned. So, well, if people inquire from the spiritual master by reading the books, taking the formula, and doing some service like book distribution, that's a positive thing towards that. But they should at the same time increase this feeling of or love and devotion towards the spiritual master as well, right? Meaning that, okay, I'm doing this for the pure devotee. He has given me this prescription. At the same time, I should also do this service with love and devotion. If someone does it with love and devotion, what's the uh oh, what's the disconnection here? You see what I'm saying? If someone has real love for Prabhupada, they're following the principles, they're chanting their rounds, and they're also trying to preach the message, but where's the distinction? Inquiry, submission, and service.
There's a quote in another, so that what is this? What is real love for
Yes.
spiritual master? So in this other quote, which I don't have the reference in front of me, Srila Prabhupada says that if one has genuine love, I'll see if I can see it, for the spiritual master. Oh, Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 17, text number 15. In his purport, Srila Prabhupada says, a disciple who has actual love for his spiritual master is endowed by the blessing of the spiritual master with all confidential knowledge. In other words, if we want to know if we're, if one can say, I'm doing this because I love Srila Prabhupada, and rubber stamp. Why does Srila Prabhupada use this word rubber stamp? It's official that I'm
Right.
doing it for my spiritual master out of love. But he says rubber stamp, not rubber stamp. He says the feeling. So he says in this quote that if one actually has that feeling, what will be the result? He'll be blessed with all confidential knowledge. So I can measure, I can evaluate how much love I'm doing everything every day. I'm getting up at 3 o'clock. I do myself, I do. So I'm following a program. I'm chanting my japa, everything I'm offering, making a boga on the altar, all these things. So I'm saying, why am I doing? I'm doing out of love for my. But if the love was really there, he says, a disciple who has actual love is the result will be I'll be blessed with him with all confidential knowledge. So if I don't have that confidential knowledge yet, I know that something's missing. So what does he want? He wants not that officially I'm doing these things for him. He wants us to feel him.
Hmm.
He wants us to feel his presence and to get this taste of what he's feeling, and that's the way we to live in that association, always in the association of the pure devotee,
Right. Hmm.
and getting that taste, engaging with that flavor in that with that. He says that that's engagement in under his guidance. That's what he's got. That's his guidance, not objective guidance, subjective guidance.
Hmm.
Objective guidance means following all the rules, all the regulations, all the services, because we know he wants that.
Hmm.
Subjective guidance, learning from him how to feel. Does
Right.
it make sense?
It makes sense, but it's kind of hard to comprehend in one sense because the
Yeah,
feeling is,
subtle.
yeah, it's very subtle. It's a distinction here, that how can you say this?
Okay, here's an example.
Hmm.
I looked it up online. You know what is William Shakespeare? You ever heard of William Shakespeare?
Yes, I've heard the name before. Yes.
Well, I don't know, a couple of centuries ago, he wrote all these books and plays. He wrote some plays, The Merchant of Venice, other plays. So, oh, he wrote, William Shakespeare writes, the quality of mercy is not strained. It means it's not hard. It's not difficult to have this merciful feeling or what it's like. It comes free. It falleth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesses him and who gives it, and it blesses him who receives it. So he's talking. So Shakespeare, he has all the, a lot of knowledge. He says all the world is a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and they have their entrances. So he's describing the process of samsara. So, so that, so when an actor wants to learn William Shakespeare, there's some actor, he's in the lead role. He's playing the part of Hamlet or whatever. And he's, he's saying he's quoting. So there's somebody in the same theatrical company. He's called an understudy. He's studying in case the actor gets sick when the play is scheduled, he can fill in for him. So the understudy, he already knows how to come on the stage, which foot the foot forward, the choreography. He knows he's already not only knows the text, he's memorized all the verses, the whole 9 yards. He knows everything about the part. He understands the philosophy behind it. But what is he doing as an understudy? He's acquiring the feeling of the guy who's playing the role. He's meditating on the man who's playing the role in order to get the feeling. And that's what subjective instruction is all about. It's to get the feeling. So that is subjective. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, yes. Get the
That's
feeling.
what we have to do with a pure devotee, to
Hmm.
approach him in such a submissive way that we can begin to understand his heart.
Joy.
In in the Krishna book, that chapter, I don't know if it's 34 but the gopis' feelings of separation from Krishna. You know what Srila Prabhupada writes? Those who are in the disciplic succession from Lord Chaitanya, they should they should cultivate these feelings. But how can you get it? He says the spiritual master will enrich the disciples with this feeling. I'll send you a picture of
Mm.
Srila Prabhupada saying that what do they call that when you take a stop a video and you take a picture? I forget.
Screenshot.
A screenshot. I
Yes.
have a screenshot and I'm going to collect more of them.
Sure. Joy.
Of Srila Prabhupada singing Jai Radha Madhava.
Mm.
You see, when Srila Prabhupada is singing Jai Radha Madhava, he goes inside very deep and he's playing his kartals. And then he opens his eyes and he looks out.
Mm.
The devotees are singing, and then it's his turn to sing again. He goes back inside. Prabhu, one should get one of these pictures and chant japa in front of one of these pictures every day of Srila Prabhupada
Mm.
singing with this devotional feeling. Begin to, and ask him, please let me understand what you're feeling.
Mm.
In other words, Srila Prabhupada is giving subjective instruction every time he gives a class.
Mm.
But we have to catch it. From him, Krishna Prem emanates. If we catch it, our ignorance is destroyed.
Joy.
Does this make sense, Prabhu?
Yes, yes, yes. It makes sense. Now that you put it like this. From him, Krishna Prema emanates. Oh, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so we have to, but it's transcendental. Usually you would learn how someone's feeling by being empathy, right? Empathy?
Mm. Yes, empathetic.
Empathize with some. You can feel when your own child is happy or sad. How do you
Right, right. Yeah.
How do you know? You empathize.
Right,
You
right,
feel
right.
what they're feeling. So, so this is transcendental empathy, but he's not in the same room with us.
Mm.
But it's transcendental. Time and place are irrelevant if we're really in a mood of wanting, of desiring that very earnestly.
Mm.
We'll begin to feel his presence and begin to feel his mood. We'll feel it in our heart. So we have to really desire like that. Um, uh, oh, that's it, Lalyam, that eagerness. He says the Krishna, that was in the last class. And where was that? You have to really want it. Uh, uh, Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada is speaking. If it is possible, please purchase. Don't
Yes, yes.
delay.
Mm.
Uh, And then he plays the part of one of us. He's two people. He's giving a talk, but he's playing the part of a devotee, and he asking questions, and he's giving the answer. The devotee says, Srila Prabhupada says, purchase immediately if you can get it. Srila devotee says, where is it available? Such
Mm.
a nice thing. And he says, yes, it's available. You can purchase. This movement is going on. And the person says, what's the price? How can I purchase this? He says, oh, it is such a nice thing. And the disciple says, you have to pay a price for it? And he says, yes, there's a price. There's a price. And he says, what is that price? Tatra lalyam ekalam mulyam, simply by your eagerness.
Mm.
That is the price. This price you have to pay. Then you get Krishna. Immediately, he's talking. Krishna's not poor. And then he says, and the Krishna seller. Who's the Krishna seller?
Purity, purity.
Srila And the Krishna seller, Krishna's devotee, he is also not poor. He can distribute Krishna free.
Mm,
And he's doing that. Simply you have to purchase by your eagerness. That is wanted. Tatra loyam. And then the thing says, then the devotee says, the student says, oh, eagerness? I have got eagerness.
mm.
And then Srila Prabhupada says, oh, it is not so easy to get that, to be eager, but it can be awakened by the association of devotee. Therefore, we are giving this chance to everyone to invoke that eagerness. Then you will see God eye to eye. You know,
Mm,
so in other words, if we go before our murti or our picture of Srila Prabhupada, I only had a nice picture, but someone brought me a murti a year or so ago, a little murti. But I was just go before that picture and I'm chanting Hare Krishna with a desire to please him. He's there in the picture. If we treat like a picture, it stays a picture. If we treat so, Srila Prabhupada is very blissful in that picture. You know, you can see
mm,
his love of Krishna, love of all of us. I'm chanting for him. One round, two rounds, three rounds, just surrounding him with the sound vibration, and 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 then I can feel that he's enjoying it. I can feel his presence. Uh, we have to we have to really, if we really want, then he reveals from within our heart. How is
mm,
some one person is attracted to read Bhagavad Gita, and another person, he don't bother me with this stuff. I have things to do.
mm,
That what the ability to be attracted is given by Krishna in the heart.
mm,
It's not about it's a so so if Krishna knows how much we want, if we approach Srila Prabhupada really trying to make a connection with him, within our heart, we'll be given the ability to understand that he's with us, that he's present. We have to make that experiment.
try.
As, and we don't have to be intelligent, big brain, nothing of the sort. Just sincere and make the experiment. We have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Even our japa will improve immensely because there will be a concentration. We're trying to please him with that sound vibration. In my heart, in my mind, I'm thinking I'm surrounding Srila Prabhupada with this sound vibration, just like a garland of flowers. I'm making a garland of the holy name and chanting for his pleasure. Make that experiment. You're in your car.
Yeah, my son was making too much noise, so I said either you go or I go.
Uh, This car can take you to Krishna Loka.
Okay, Ishan Prabhu, thank you very much. We have Janice Spear from Hawaii. If he has any questions, he can ask. If not, then we'll end it here, and I'll call you over the week, this week, discuss
Or if he
subjects.
has something to add.
Yes. Okay. Looks like he doesn't. So, thank you very much, Ishan Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you.